the show that teaches you how to live a healthier and more fit lifestyle. Today's show, we're featuring a brand new book by a doctor who I have idolized and now have the pleasure of working with and for. I've idolized for many years Dr. Michael Roizen. He chairs the Cleveland Clinic Wellness Institute, and he is a New York Times best-selling author. His new book, This Is Your Do-Over, and it's fabulous because it makes it really simple and easy to understand how to do yourself over, and most importantly, it's never too late. I hope you enjoy the show. It's always great to find someone who's actually in the process of doing a do-over or going through a life-changing experience when we talk about it, and it gives me great pleasure to introduce one of my dear friends that has become very passionate about Dr. Roizen's book and is in the process of her own do-over, Michele Cerni. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you very much.
For our audience, we go back 30 plus years, our families were friends, and so I have seen you evolve as you have seen me. And I would say neither one of us have ever been extremely, overweight, but I think we've always been challenged with, trying to adopt a healthier lifestyle and keep things in check. And the thing that's interesting about us is I am definitely the apple shape and you're definitely the pear. So our challenges have been different.
Definitely.
But so tell us, you're very, very fortunate. You're definitely, in your 50, 60 stage of life. Not on any type of medicine, right?
No medicine at all.
Never had a problem with cholesterol?
No, never cholesterol, no high blood pressure, no heart problems. I've really been very, very fortunate.
So that didn't motivate you?
No.
And you were always, especially from the waist up, pretty tiny.
Yes.
Challenged with, exercise a little bit, I would say, you would say in the lower body area, but nothing horrific.
Definitely.
So what motivated you to say, I really want to change my life?
At this stage, I am in my 60s, and I am starting...
And you look fabulous, by the way.
Thank
and have had nothing done.
No, it's all me.
Yeah.
But I am at that stage where I am having some arthritis problems, and I don't want to be incapacitated. This is the first time in my life I've felt a little incapacity because of an arthritic hip. And so I really don't want this to continue. I want to change this. So I have another reason to want to stay fit.
And it was interesting, too, when we were preparing for the segment, when you were saying, I don't think people think outside of themselves. When we think about getting, healthier and fit or losing weight, we just think about it either from a vanity standpoint or for, just, me. You don't think about the people around you that, that love you and are dependent on you, especially if you're a parent or a grandparent.
Exactly.
Or, you've got to think about, you owe it to those people to take care of yourself too, if they're depending and loving and, they want you there for them and you want to be there for them.
Right, and I do have 5 grandchildren, the youngest of whom is 3, and you're right, I want to be around a long time to be able to enjoy her. So I'm very interested in that aspect of it too.
And when you say enjoy, what we're going to talk about, that's exactly it. It's quality of life. It's being able to do things and have activities and be vibrant, because we can exist, but what's the quality of life? That's really what it's all about. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, definitely, definitely.
You've lived all over the world during your lifetime experience. What would you say, and let's start with the food. What's different about the way, let's say, we eat in the United States versus the way the different cultures eat, in Europe and the Soviet Union and whatnot?
Well, certainly the years that I lived overseas, which was some time ago, you didn't have available all the processed foods that you have in the United States and the variety of foods that you have. There you got what was available locally in the local grocery store, and it was usually grown locally. Only in one instance, when we lived in the Soviet Union, did we really get a lot of outside food brought in, because there wasn't certain products available in the Soviet Union to us.
But would you agree you were going to the grocery store probably maybe every day, or the market, or
Definitely.
every other day? You didn't have the refrigeration available.
Oh, definitely. That was always a consideration, certainly. So you had to do that much more than you do it here.
Europe walked around a lot.
Oh, definitely. Well, and it's such an exciting place to be, and so many different things to see and do. But transportation was different over there, and we did walk much, much more than we do here.
I think we're very fortunate in the United States to have the technology that we have, but like I've always said, industrialization, I don't think, did the most for our health.
Right. Here we jump in the car and just go 2 blocks away to get something for the grocery store.
Convenience, right. Convenience is we're always grabbing what's available, what's quick, what's fast, what's easy. And that's usually not, it's not the healthiest because of the habits we've developed. If you get involved in your do-over, you can very easily start to make your habits quick, easy, and healthy.
Exactly, and that's one of the premises in his book, to do just that.
So let's talk a little bit about the book. Let's jump to the book, since that's really what it's all about. He starts talking about genetics. So he tells us that our genetic makeup is what we have. But there is a big opportunity for us to either turn off or turn on the good and the bad of our genetics and our DNA. When you read that chapter, tell me a little bit about what did it open your eyes to some things?
Well, it did, because I am blessed with fairly decent genetics, because I don't have any of these major problems, except for this arthritis, and that's only been manifest recently. So all my life I've kind of ignored other things because, oh well, my genetics are good, I don't need to worry about it. And suddenly, in reading his book, my eyes were open to the fact that, well, maybe there still is something you can do to make your life better, to help you with the arthritis or any other problem, that, especially taking care of myself, eating well, losing a little more weight. That's really important. And Dr. Roizen really made it inspiring and motivating.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I think people don't realize that what a couple of pounds, we think about 5 pounds as not being a big deal. But like when you do have an arthritic problem, for example, 5 pounds is a lot of weight, let alone 10 pounds or 15 pounds. And it makes a very big difference.
It does.
And it was interesting too, when you've had and when we are genetically proposed to something, you will go to the doctor, and you want to work in concert with your doctor to make the right health choices, and then sometimes complement with a medicine, or if you have to have a little surgery or whatever.
Right.
But it was interesting because when you went to the doctor, they didn't want to operate initially right away, right? They're telling you,
right,
let's try some exercise and some rehab.
Yes, and I'm doing that right now. I am going through some therapy, which does seem to help a little bit. And so it's sort of strengthened my desire to want to do the exercising. As Dr. Roizen says, we've got to walk 10,000 steps a day. And I did get my Fitbit, and I thought to myself, I really need to do this. And that walking can really help with my leg.
Well, the last show we did was on heart disease, and I told our viewers that we would be talking a little bit about exercise for the heart. And that's one of the things I wanted to, bring into today's show as well. Walking is the #1 exercise. Just about anybody can do it, unless you have a physical, limitation. But walking is so easy. And the thing I love about the Fitbit, whether you clip it on, whether you're getting some of the new wristbands that will, be able to track different things, including what you're eating, what your activity level is, and whatnot, whether you're going to get the new Apple Watch that's coming out or the other watches that are out there. if nothing else, these things will get you focused on walking those 10,000 steps a day. And as you get into the book, 10,000 steps is really difficult to do in our area and where we live. I've told our viewers, I said, even for myself, on the days I'm not running, it's very difficult for me to get to 5,000. And I never realized that until I started wearing a Fitbit, for example. And buy a pedometer, buy a Fitbit, grab anything, but something that you can clip on and just track your activity level every day. Kind of see where you are. And if you're at 3,000, try to get 3,050. If you're at 4,000, always try to increase it, and you're going to see it's a real challenge to get to that 10,000 a day.
Definitely.
How long has it taken you to get there? Tell us what you started at.
Well, I haven't reached the 10,000 yet because I've just started the do-over with, he inspired me to start the do-over. And so I'm at 6,000.
And what did you start out at?
Well,
when you started wearing
actually,
it?
when I started wearing it, I was doing about 4,000 because I do walk a lot we have a big office, and I do walk a lot during the day. I really make it a practice to get up and walk it rather than picking up the phone and calling someone at another desk. I really get up and walk. So I'm used to doing a lot of walking, and then I do try to walk on the treadmill. I've started to do that because of my arthritis and my leg, the problem I was having. So when I started out, the first times that I was doing it, I was at least doing 4,000, and now I'm up to 6,000.
That's great.
Yeah.
So what's your goal? What's your goal
the
to be at
10,000.
10? What's your time frame?
I'm hoping by the end of the month to be at 10.
That's a great goal.
Yes.
I love it. Let's talk a little bit about what happens when people make the poor lifestyle choices, when they're not moving and when they're not doing things. Naturally, we know the arteries are getting clogged, and we know that we are making the body sick. What do you think? Why is it so difficult for people? Because there's a lot of knowledge out there. For example, we talk about cholesterol, and we talk about diabetes, and we talk about all those problems and how serious they can be. But it's almost like that we hear, we know, we understand, but we don't think it's ever going to happen to us. Or if it does happen to us, we just kind of sweep it under the rug and think, oh, no, our lifestyle isn't going to impact that. What do you what turned the light on for you, or what do you think? Because I know, and we're going to talk about the buddy system, that you're becoming a buddy to a couple of people. So your job is to motivate them.
Right.
What do you think is so difficult? Why is it so difficult for people to adopt healthier habits?
Well, because everything is it's so easy to just get fast food, especially if you're working. And it's easy to just stop and get something on the way home. Our lifestyle is such that we don't take the time. I don't take the time. And I have to make a conscious effort to take the time to, if I'm not making the food that's really good for me by going to the store and buying it and preparing it, then I have to make sure that I eat at places that I'm going to get the kind of food that I should be eating. The not overly processed, the salads. Dr. Roizen talks about one of his best meals being, a big salad with vegetables and a piece of salmon on top. I mean, I love that, and that's the kind of thing you can get at all. I can think of 10 restaurants in the area you could go to and get just exactly that kind of a meal. Or, of course, you could prepare it at home.
And see, like you just said, I have to think about places I can go. But as you're getting into this, wouldn't you agree it's more about when you go to the places, what you think about ordering?
Yeah.
Because there aren't very many places that you can't go today that aren't going to provide you, if you know how to order properly,
right,
that aren't going to give you something. You can get something healthy, but you think of, oh no, I want the French fries. Oh no, I want the burger. Oh no, I want the heavy cheese on my salad and the rich salad dressing.
It's true. You're right there. It's easier to just drive through and pick up the meal you're used to, the burger, the fries, and
or even at the restaurant.
Yeah.
I mean, when I go in a restaurant and I look at a restaurant menu, I don't eat meat. So to me, they could have the most appealing description of a meat entree. It doesn't even exist in my mind because I don't eat that. I've turned that off. It's a matter of training, developing good habits, and training your mind. You agree?
I definitely agree with that, but it's also a matter of timing too. I was eating meat. Oh, once in a while. It wasn't my everyday fare by any means, but I loved a good steak, and I would eat it now and then. And I don't know, again, this book is so motivational. When I read the simple things that Dr. Roizen was saying about eating red meat, it finally really struck home to me. This is my time, I guess, for everything to come together. And now I'm making myself a promise that I'm not going to eat meat.
And once in a while, if you want, you know me, I'm all about, okay, so if you want a little bit moderation, he's a little stricter, which is great, but I think you have to be realistic with everybody. But like you say, it just motivates you to say, why do I even, you don't even probably want to.
Right.
Yeah, and it was something that was part of your regular diet weekly. Another interesting thing when we were preparing, you said, it was easy. On the way home, I would think of grab a steak and cook a steak, make a baked potato, and that's an easy meal. Now I have to think about it. And my comeback to you was, why can't you grab a piece of salmon? Why can't you grab a chicken breast? And you said, yeah, absolutely right. But that's the training the mind.
It's the mindset we have. And that's why I think you did make a reference to the buddy system. I think when you're doing that and you have a buddy to help you and help you tell you that's a bad choice, it reinforces that fact.
Absolutely. He talks about clean living and clean vessels. And I think it's important that people understand the cardiovascular system is what transports, the blood through our system, what oxygenates and energizes and feeds our body. And the heart is the engine of that system. I don't think sometimes people understand down to a granular, simple level that how that it is negatively impaired by a bad lifestyle. Would you agree that the book really opens your eyes up to that?
It does. Dr. Roizen gives you a mini medical school in the very beginning, and he talks about certain issues, and he makes it really simple and clear so that you can understand some of these concepts that do happen to your body and why it is that you need to change your lifestyle and change your habits in order to better your life and make your overall wellness, raise the level. I think that's a key that I gathered from this book, that we can actually change the course that we're heading on, and we can make a difference in our life if we take into account living well meaning living with wellness and doing what is important for our bodies, right food, doing all the things that Dr. Roizen suggests as part of the do-over. We actually can change what's the path we've been going on, and we're not tied to some path.
Exactly, and that's what people say. It's genetics. I can't change. Yes, you can. And studies have shown that if you start to develop healthier habits and your body gets healthier, that passes down to generations below you. So you too carry that on as you reproduce. And that's another thing I don't think people realize.
Right.
That studies have shown that as well.
And just even an example that you set for other people in your family, your children or your grandchildren, by letting them see that you're trying to lead a good, healthy life because you want a long life and you want to be there for them, and then they see the results.
Mm-hmm. Your daughter and son-in-law keep a pretty clean household, always have, and they have 2 little ones.
Yes.
And your grandchildren are? Samuel is
9 and Trinity's 8.
And would you say that because of the way the parents live, they just automatically go for, they don't, they go for sweets as much as, they think of a treat as a piece of fruit?
Well, they do. They're very careful as to what, and they've always been that way as to what they've been eating. They did have a situation, though my grandson did have cancer. He had 2 bouts of cancer. And as a result of that, they did a lot of research, and they talked to doctors at the Ohio State University, and they learned that it was important, especially for Samuel, that what he was eating could affect the cancer growth. So they made some lifestyle choices and changes because of that.
Your daughter Adriana had, and I give her so much credit, she initiated a dietitian into his care early on, didn't she?
Yes.
She was very proactive about that.
Definitely, yeah. They wanted to find out whatever they could or do whatever they could, because when he was 5, he had his first bout, and then when he was 7, he had his second bout. So they don't want.
And thank God he's good today.
He's good today, and they don't want it anymore. But because of that, I mean, a drastic situation such as that helped. They always ate, like as you said, they were always health conscious when they ate. But this made it even more imperative to watch what they were eating.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's so important for people to understand. Engage a dietitian, engage an exercise physiologist, even just to help you for a short period of time to get on the right path. And if you do have some type of an illness, bring them in as part of the team. We're not saying it's going to be the cure-all, but it definitely is good to have it as part of the process.
It certainly is. And a lot of that began to rub off on me. I saw some of the things that they were doing, and I incorporated some of that into my lifestyle too.
And then we're going to go to when doctor talks about inflammation. And people, often we hear this term inflammation, and in the book I think he has a great little saying where he goes, inflammation's tossed around like pizza dough, which it is. But, so really what is inflammation? And it's the body's response to say, okay, we're going to come to an area where something's wrong and we're going to fix it. The problem with our lifestyle is that when we put a lot of bad food into our body, when we don't get exercise and activity, now we're causing unnecessary inflammation because we're causing our body to have problems, and this inflammation is coming because it's trying to fix it, and it's like a constant cycle. It's trying to fix, and you keep making it worse by eating worse and not doing any activity. So there's inflammation that we can control.
Yes.
Have you noticed that you're finding, that with this new lifestyle, that even the inflammation with your little bit of arthritis has gotten a lot better?
When I walk, when I do my exercises, I do feel relief, definitely. And I have been changing my diet, trying every now and then. I do laps, but that's what a buddy's for, to help in that regard. But definitely, I think that all of that is contributing to feeling healthier all around.
And you notice the inflammation, for example, like people will tell me, I woke up and my eyes were a little bit puffy, I must have an allergy, or my joints are swollen, or, my feet are swollen.
Right.
And sometimes it's a result of your lifestyle.
Definitely.
And your body just telling you, clean it up a little
Stop.
bit. Drink water.
Yes.
I can't tell people, drink water, drink water. How's water been for you? Do you struggle with that one?
I do. That I do. But I am getting much better at it. And I'm noticing I'm far more conscious of when I need water, the fact that I need water throughout the day. Perhaps before, because it would be like a thirst reaction, I would grab something else. And now I'm grabbing the water.
Mindfulness.
Yes.
Paying attention to what your body's telling you. We move, we work, our lives work such a fast pace, especially in the United States. Would you say that mindfulness has been you've had to learn to be mindful? That's something I struggle with because I move at such a ridiculously fast pace sometimes.
Definitely. You really have to be conscious of everything you do.
Habits. He talks a lot about habits, and he talks about habits versus an addiction, but the thing about a habit is much easier to change but it just takes mindfulness, consciousness. Did you have any, what would you say your worst habit was that you have been able to, or you're working on overcoming as a result of your do-over in your lifestyle?
Probably it is working, fortunately for me, but just snacking on bad food, having potato chips, having cookies in the house. Now I don't buy potato chips, I don't buy cookies, I have fruits and vegetables, and the habit is, his premise is change. You can create habits to create new habits, and that's what I'm trying to do, create new habits that will help me be healthier.
Environment's very important. So you go to the office, and I know, because we work together, I know a lot of people, will have different things in their offices, things I don't always agree with,
Right.
but they'll have candy, or they'll have cookies, or they'll have and I know you used to not think twice about, oh, just grab one of those.
Right.
What do you think about now?
Oh, I am really, I can pass up almost anything today. I really can. It's just, you look at something and you think, is that going to help me? Is that really going to be good for me? And again, that's a habit that you can create. You create a habit of not eating what's bad for you.
And having the good things there.
Yes.
Make sure it's just as easy. If you're going to bring cookies and candy to the office, why aren't you bringing apples and pears and bananas? The little bagged organic baby carrots with a little bit of hummus. These are things that I pick up at the grocery store, and I always have with me, that are very, very simple. It's not like it takes me hours to prepare them.
No, you're right on that score.
I know you're an excellent cook, but you too, live by yourself, so it's foolish to make huge amounts of food for one individual. But what about some of the things you're doing now? And I know you're doing it when you go out to eat. You're eating maybe half, saving half for the next day. When you're making something at home, you're making soup and for the next 4 or 5 days.
Yes, and just actually making myself. I got very lazy being by myself. I got lazy and I was buying food that was prepared at the grocery store. But now I am doing that. I am consciously buying food that I can prepare at home and cooking at home when I am at home, so that I have what is really healthy for me, healthier than anything else.
I'm going to go through, because there are 7, as Dr. Roizen notes on the cover of his book, the 7 secrets to losing weight, living longer, and getting a second chance at the life you want. And that's the most important thing. It's never, ever too late. I have worked with people in their 70s and 80s that just got into exercise that get great results. But the 7 things are, and then we'll come back because it's an important one: build a buddy system, walk 10,000 steps a day, break the addiction from bad habits, form good ones. We want to figure out solutions to stress. I love this one, it's interesting, have better sex, love in your life. So when I find the right guy, I'll work on that one. Explore and engage passion and a sense of knowing your purpose in life. And that's a really critical one too. So the 2 I want to focus on now are, I want to talk about the buddy system, and then I want to talk about purpose, because people don't spend enough time thinking about their purpose in life. And if you don't feel like you have a purpose, what's motivating you?
Exactly.
You get into a slump, you get depressed, you're like, what the heck am I all about?
Yeah.
Talk about the buddy system. That's been critical.
Yes. Well, I think it's proven in any kind of situation that when you've got somebody that can work with you and help you, you're going to do things better. Dr. Roizen says we all need a buddy to help us live this healthier life. Somebody who you can pick up the phone and call.
Yeah, no, there are qualities that are important to the buddy. So go ahead. Somebody you can pick up the phone and call.
And you can say, I want to have this piece of cake, or I want to eat a half gallon of ice cream. And your buddy will help you and remind you of your goals, remind you of your health concerns, and tell you, no, you can't do that. And maybe suggest, try this, or maybe the buddy will come and take you out and,
Let's go for a walk.
Exactly, do something. And also, I mean, it's not just, the buddy is not just to be there when you're in a dire situation, but the buddy is to do things with you, to walk with you, if you have somebody to do something with, sometimes it's a lot easier to get you motivated to go and do. So yes, let's go walk. If you set up a time with your buddy to do certain activities, maybe you're going to do yoga, or you're going to exercise at the Y or wherever you might want to go together. But somebody to do things with you throughout this do-over process.
Qualities of a buddy. It's important they know how to listen. And I know you're on both sides of this, because you have a buddy, and hopefully I've been a little bit of a buddy to you, and you are a buddy.
Oh, definitely you are.
Listening is important, because you have to understand where the person's coming from. Accountability. You can't have somebody that's going to say, I want a piece of cake, and they're like, and we know a few people like this, and we love them to death, right? Oh yeah, let's just go have a piece of cake. Well, that's not the person you want to be calling as your buddy.
Can't do that anymore.
No. You got to be the stronger of the two buddies. Somebody's got to take control and take charge. You want somebody who's a little bit motivating.
Yeah.
And you could have different buddies. You want an activity buddy.
Right.
And that's an important, maybe your listening buddy is different than your activity buddy. It doesn't just have to be one person.
Oh no, you can have different buddies for sure. Mm-hmm. And probably that's a good idea, quite honestly, because one size doesn't fit all in the buddy system. And like you said too, it's important for me to be a good buddy to those friends of mine who want my help. And so I will do what I can do to encourage, inspire. I mean, a buddy isn't just supposed to sit there and wait for you to call. The buddy can initiate some activity too. I mean, that's when you really have a good buddy system going.
And it's interesting because it's gotten contagious. Because it started out with me, harping on everybody,
yes.
and then and we have a few very close friends, and it's like I said, been the domino effect. So then you jumped on board first,
right?
And now we've had three others now jump on board with us, and it's becoming infectious. But I've sort of stepped back a little bit. You guys are kind of doing your own thing, but I love it because talk about some of the things. Like, what are you doing for lunch? Talk about some of the things you guys decided to do for lunch.
Well, we're going to bring the makings for lunch so we can eat lunch together and make sure that we're eating properly for lunch. Or when we go out, like you said, you can go to any restaurant and you can, if you order properly. And so we.
And I give you credit because you guys started out with telling me now everybody's gonna cook one day a week. They're gonna make the lunch, and then for all of us, and then we're all gonna eat. Well, that didn't. But it's been going out all the time. But each person, is responsible one of the days for going out.
Right.
But making sure that whatever everybody's getting is heart healthy.
Exactly.
So it's easy.
It is. It really is. And sometimes our lunch is a little difficult sometimes because everybody's busy in certain ways at work, so we can't always do it together, but at least if we try, make it at least a couple of times a week, then we know for sure those couple of days a week and it gives us an opportunity to talk about this too, and talk about our progress or our non-progress, and encouragement, provide encouragement if someone needs it, or pats on the back.
And opportunity to try new things, because some people are like, oh gee, I didn't know. And like one thing we learned, a little simple example was like, you can now go to Chick-fil-A and get grilled nuggets instead of fried.
Oh, that's a major thing.
And yeah, that's huge because people are like, oh, well, I love such and such a place, but they don't have anything healthy. Find out, go through the menu, look at what such and such a place has to offer, and it's amazing what you can have. And I know people love pizza, and Rise Pies has a gluten-free crust. They have a whole wheat crust. You go through the line, you pick everything you want. You can make the most delicious vegetarian pizza, even, and you could just use a little cheese, no cheese. So it's easy if you know what to do.
Exactly, and that's another one of our stomping grounds for lunch.
Yes.
Because we can do that. We can have a salad, and we can have this pizza that's just made to order.
Right. let's talk about, because it's really important to you, purpose. I feel badly for people that don't take the time and think about what gift they have. Everybody has a gift. Everybody has a purpose. What do you think is difficult about why people can't get their arms around that so easily to motivate them to be better for themselves?
I think people just don't think about it. That's the number one problem. We don't take the time to just think about what we're doing. We get caught up in so many other things. And if you're thinking about purpose, that's very introspective. You've got to take the time to sit and think about what it is that makes you tick, what it is that you can do, what it is that's you're going to be passionate about, as Dr. Roizen says. And I think that it's just so easy to avoid that because we're in this busy, hectic life every day, and we've got either family problems or work problems, and we don't take enough time for ourselves. I mean, I think this is part of this do-over, is the fact that you have to look at yourself and say, am I as good as I can be, or can I be better? And when you do that, like I'm doing, I think I can be better than I am. I be better because I can be healthier, and I can be more productive. If I'm healthier, I'm more productive. Everything follows one right after the other. And I will say that I haven't taken the time to really, I'm passionate about my work because I do it every day. I'm really involved in it. But I think what Dr. Roizen was trying to get us to do is something to be passionate about outside of work, outside of,
the routine.
Exactly. And I'm thinking about that. I really haven't come to that decision or that revelation as to what else I'm passionate about, other than my family. And, we all tend to be passionate about our families and our loved ones and my work. But I think that there should be something more. That's what I'm getting from him.
And it's a journey. People think so much of this is flip a switch. It isn't flip a switch. What are you passionate about? It doesn't mean you don't have to answer it that second.
Right.
Think about, take your time, relax when you're taking a shower, when you're taking a walk, when you're sitting, on the couch, just kind of relaxing and close your eyes. Think about things that give you pleasure and start to make a list. Start to see where common denominators come into place. Because it could be something as wonderful as, being by water. It could be doing, and you're like this, I'm like, I get a lot of pleasure out of doing things that I know make other people happy.
Right.
I really do. And I think so many of us are like that. But then also think about, okay, what would you like somebody to do for you that makes you happy?
Exactly.
Turn it around a little bit. And if you aren't getting pleasure or you can't think of anything, you got to do some, introspective thinking of, why aren't I getting pleasure from things?
Yes.
Or am I really getting pleasure from cookies, ice cream, and candy? Let me think about that, because that's a momentary pleasure of taste.
And that's substitute pleasure.
Right. That's not a real pleasure.
No.
And I try to tell people, and I've said it many times, this is the most fabulous, whatever it is, dessert, food, right? There is no food, I can honestly tell you, that I have ever came to in my lifetime that is the most fabulous thing, that is like the second coming of God.
No.
I haven't met that food yet.
No.
There are so many other things that are so much more fulfilling if you get things in the right perspective.
That's it.
Yeah, your journey, I think it's wonderful. I know you've lost not just weight. Most important, you've lost a lot of inches.
Yes, that's been better, actually.
Yeah, and I touch on that real quick, because people, that damn scale, people live by that scale, and then if the scale isn't moving as quickly as they like, they get depressed. inches are motivating.
That's right. And it's not, it definitely doesn't tell you, it's the body change that you want. Or at least that's what I want, the body change. Mm-hmm. And so if my clothes are fitting looser and fitting better, then I'm happy.
How are you sleeping at night? Better with all this?
Yes.
That's a critical
It's
component.
important.
Very important.
Yes.
And if you're not getting a good night's sleep, that's another sign. You need to figure out, is something going on in your body that you can change in your lifestyle that will give you a much better night's sleep, which will lead to a healthier body and a much more cheerful day the next day.
The key, I think, to all of this is when you really get down to it, everything is so simple. I mean, what you can do for yourself is undertake some very simple steps, like changing your eating habits, changing your sleep habits, walking. Nothing costs you anything to do. You can do it all, relatively inexpensively.
Yes.
And it's all good for you.
Yes. As we close, I was reading the paper, if you're Catholic, we're in the Lenten season, and a lot of people don't eat meat on Friday, so, fish is very popular right now this time of year. And it cracks me up because they were saying, what a wonderful, meal you can get now, the fish with the fried fish, French fries, and baked macaroni and cheese. It's the dinner specials that they're having. And I'm like, there's not even a leaf of lettuce in that, on that plate. So think about, really, it's like, what are you eating? How is it prepared? Do we have something living on the plate? Some type of fruits and vegetables with every meal, and just think about how you feel. Not just after you eat the meal. Then keep a diary. How do you feel the next day? I hope you've been an inspiration to our viewers, and we look forward to you completing your. I want to say completing your journey. The completion is that you get to the point where you've reached your goal and now you're just maintaining it.
Right, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. Thank you,
Michele. Thank you.
One of the most frequently asked questions I get is, I have to give up desserts, don't I? Or I can no longer eat some of the foods I like risotto. Well, I'm happy to tell you you can. It's just a matter of altering your recipes a little bit. And you can go online today. There are so many people that are experimenting with healthier ways to make foods we love. So if you Google something you love, including fettuccine Alfredo, and you want a heart-healthy version, you can usually find several recipes, read through them, find one that's simple and has ingredients that you love. Some will use different cheeses, some use different types of oils. And you also have the option today of using a gluten-free pasta. You can use a whole wheat. You can use a multigrain. I'm going to demonstrate today a heart-healthy cake and a heart-healthy risotto. So let's start with the cake because everybody loves something sweet. And I'm going to give you a few little concepts here. You can adapt anything. Time is of the essence. So I wanted something simple, easy, and quick. We've got a hand mixer. We got a mixing bowl. All we're going to need to throw it all together. Everything is going to go into the bowl. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a couple of cups of almond flour and coconut flour. Now these are gluten-free flours that will give you a natural sweetness, and they are delicious. I highly recommend. As a matter of fact, even in recipes that call for a white flour, if I'm entertaining guests and whatnot, I sometimes would, prepare for my guests differently than I may eat. I now just use my almond flour for just about everything because it gives it such a better flavor. We're going to then add our baking soda, our baking powder. We have some vanilla we're going to throw in. And we're going to use an agave syrup, an agave nectar. I like the organic. But this is where we're going to deviate a little bit, and I want you to focus on concepts. If you notice, for sweetener, we're going to use fruit. Mashed ripe bananas are great. Chopped dates are wonderful. We've used ripe pears. You can chop up apples and puree them and put those in things. Applesauce, makes a great addition for baking, and it gives it moistness, it gives it sweetness, it gives it flavor. In our recipe, we're going to use about 3 to 4 ripe bananas. We're going to use 1/3 of a cup of chopped dates. We're going to put in 3/4 of a cup of chopped walnuts. Walnuts are another great addition to use in baking or cooking because they give so much flavor. Walnuts are really, really healthy. If you have an allergy to nuts, there again, it's an option. But if you don't, they're a great addition for moistness, flavor, and texture. I love a little bit of crunchiness. If you like something a little crunchier, chop your nuts a little less fine. If you like something smoother, it just depends. If you're preparing for children, I always recommend that you chop things or grind things or puree to a much finer consistency. We're then going to add a cup of fat-free milk, or you can use almond milk, 2 eggs, chia seeds, very, very nutritious. Another great addition. You can use them in cupcakes, cakes, just about anything you're baking, cookies, and 2/3 cup of canola oil. You're going to take your 9x13 pan, we like a Pyrex, and any type of a nonstick spray. Now, there are very different ones out there, so watch what you're buying, see what you like the best, and see what works well. For example, this is an olive oil spray. I wouldn't recommend it for the cake, but this is a coconut oil. I highly recommend it for a cake. And what you think of as your traditional Pam sprays, those usually work well with anything. You're going to literally throw all the ingredients in a bowl. You're going to mix it up, spread it in a 9x13 pan, put it in the oven at 350 for about 25 to 30 minutes, and I love our toothpick test. I want you to take a toothpick. All ovens cook differently. Sometimes you're using convection, sometimes you're using bake. Stick a toothpick in the middle. If a toothpick comes out clean, it's done, ready to go. Take it out and cool and cut. You can also add a little bit of a light whipped topping if you would like. The light all-natural whipped topping that's only about 15 calories and 2 tablespoons. You can put a little bit of yogurt, Greek yogurt, yogurt with cut up fruit. You can serve it with fruit on top. There's so many things you can do. Think outside the box. My father, God bless him, he used to love to take something like this. He'd put it in a bowl and then he would put some skim milk in and kind of, mash it around. Loved it. So like I said, there are so many things you can do. Eat it for breakfast, eat it as a dessert, eat it as a snack. When you're thinking about an entree, we're going to step over and we're going to talk about a heart-healthy risotto because everybody thinks that this is a very rich, creamy food that is, no on any type of a healthy eating plan. Not true. And one of my dear friends who is in the buddy system with us, Michele and I referenced earlier, there were several of us involved in this buddy system. She loves risotto and was so excited to find this recipe. What you're going to do is you're going to take your risotto rice and you're going to take about 3 tablespoons of an extra virgin olive oil. We're going to take some chopped onion, and you can put some Smart Balance with your olive oil or a heart-healthy margarine substitute if you like a little bit of that little more buttery flavor. You can, then we're going to take some low-fat, low-sodium chicken broth, and we're going to use frozen peas. You can use frozen peas, any type of frozen vegetable, or chop fresh vegetables if you like. What we're going to do is start by sauteing the onion in the little bit of olive oil, and then we're going to add the risotto very slowly with the chicken broth. And I want you to keep stirring because risotto is important. If you want the risotto to come out nice and fluffy, you have to put the risotto and the liquid in nice and slowly, and as the risotto is absorbing the chicken broth, then you add a little bit more, but keep stirring until it's all absorbed. When all that's done, you're going to turn off the heat. You can throw in your then bag of frozen peas. It will cook because of the heat and the consistency of the risotto that's already cooked. Just stir it around, put a lid on it, and let it set. There again, you can do peas, chopped vegetables, whatever you like, but the heat of what's already in there will cook the vegetables as it's cooling down on its own. It's a fabulous, fabulous addition to a wonderful salad. You don't need any bread when you're already having a starch. Think about it. We are so accustomed to having bread with, especially with the pasta meal. When you're having a starch, be it a potato, be it a rice, be it a pasta, that's covering your starch for the meal. So instead of having a bread with a risotto, think about having a bigger salad. Or think about having a steamed vegetables. Even though you've got vegetables in your risotto, make a side vegetable of something different. And then you can have your little bit of cake for dessert. Think, like I said, when you're looking at a recipe, think about what the ingredients are calling for. Go online, look for substitutes of the bad things. You can usually cut back on the sugar. You can substitute stevia for sugar. Remember the agave. Think about using fruits. Just be mindful of the ingredients that are going into whatever you're making. Try to keep it natural and think about where you might be able to lighten it up a little bit with some substitutes. If you are making something at home, it's usually going to be much better than what you're going to get out because you know what's going in it. So if you have the time and you want to have a little bit of fun, I strongly recommend make it at home.